so many changes have been happening in the world. So why not make changes with us, right?
That's what we do. We adapt as time goes on.
Yeah,
The world changes, we change. Opportunity comes from that change.
that's true. Does opportunity come from change or does change come from opportunity?
Well, sometimes I think you have to be willing to change before you can actually see the opportunity. I think that's what people struggle with the most is seeing the opportunities because they're stuck where they are. They're not sure which direction to go. And once they start the change process, it's like all these magical things happen, right? The opportunities come in, people that they've never met before come in and they happen to be the right people. And it's just the dynamism of momentum that you build as you start to make the changes. So I think you have to start to change to see the opportunities. But that doesn't mean that opportunity doesn't present and then you make changes. But I think it depends on which position you're coming from, at it from.
Well, it's an interesting way to look at it because I see a lot of people that we know that change because there's an opportunity. That's why I was asking the question. It's like, even we had a client for our Simple CEO course yesterday. They were talking about, hey, what if I do this cohort and what if I do this? And like, they thought they saw an opportunity, right? They're like, so I'm going to change what I do because I have an opportunity. And then we asked them, we're like, well, how many of those opportunities do you have? Is it like one or two, or is it like hundreds where it's like, okay, that's really it? And then what we asked them follow up was like, hey, have you changed what you're doing? Have you changed who you're talking to? Have you changed because sometimes that will present that opportunity? So it's an interesting dynamic of which came first, the chicken or the egg, right? Yeah, yeah. Speaking of change, you and I are gonna use LinkedIn very, very differently now. For the last 2 years, we started using LinkedIn actively, and it was all to promote our atomic business coaching. And then we had our Project 2740, which we were really driving people through there, which gave birth to the course, which is basically Project 2740 through the course, which is the simple selling system. And it's been a fun journey. I've met some amazing people. We've brought on some great clients. We've hired some people to work for us through using LinkedIn. But it's kind of like you and I sat and realized that not much comes from that. That's kind of like the afterthought, right? It's not we're not really meeting people there. We're meeting people out in the wild, so to speak, or through referrals or through genuine conversations. And then they come back to LinkedIn and be like, "Oh, what you're doing is kind of interesting. Let's talk about that." And I've just always I want more out of everything. And what I mean by more is I want more authenticity, more I want more depth, right? And I saw that it turned into a lot of superficial noise and like an echo chamber. And you and I have been talking about all the networking that we've done and how our whole lives have changed because of networking, right? Our business was started because of networking. And you and I, over the last year, have been doing this thing called the morning meeting. And it came from our book. The morning meeting was a philosophy and a practice that you and I had both embraced, come together and said, let's put out in the world. And the meat of it was really three simple questions is what's going right, what's going wrong, and what do you need help with? And you and I started bringing groups of entrepreneurs and business owners together once a month on a Saturday to network. And we would go around the room and ask, what's going right, what's going wrong, and what do you need help with? And those meetings have been, I feel they've been the best thing I've ever been involved with in my entire career. Like they brought so much of the ability for people to be vulnerable, for us to give really useful advice, for other people to be involved and engaged in a conversation that had an intention instead of just like networking elevator pitches and can I meet you? And then the room got to help each other. And then they would, look back to us to either validate that advice or ask us to add our 2 cents in. And it started to create this community, which grew in this kind of like a club where these people started to come and gravitate towards other things we were doing or gravitated towards each other and started things. And because we have had so much success in this over the last year, we decided, hey, let's go all in on this, and we called this First M. So why don't you? What are your thoughts on all of this?
Well, I absolutely love the morning meeting style that we've done. It's brought so many different people together. It's networking, it's coaching, and it has elements of mastermind because of other people's advice. And I really enjoy those Saturday morning intimate discussions, right? They're intimate discussions where you get to know people. And we started First M to help build a club for entrepreneurs and business owners who are looking for a way to get to their first million. And everybody wants to get to their first million, and maybe not everybody. Let me not give a limiting belief.
But it's a
There's a
typical
lot of
goal. It's a typical
Yeah, it's a
goal.
typical goal of a small business, right? You want to make $1 million in revenue. And you know, throughout a lot of our conversations with a lot of people who have attended those meetings, a lot of people became part of our Project 2740, and we recognize that people need an ongoing group of people to meet with. They need that support. They need the tools. They need the advice of other business owners that are going through the same thing. When we talk about, and you've talked about this a lot, and we've talked about this in the past, when you go through a shared experience with people, your oxytocin levels rise, and that produces a happiness, and that produces a motivation, and that produces all of this sense of connection and belonging with people. And it helps a lot of business owners and entrepreneurs who feel so isolated in what they're doing. And it takes away that isolation and helps them to feel part of something. And that's what First M is. For me, that's the perspective I'm going at it is this is a place of belonging. It's a place of where you're going to be motivated. You're going to hear advice of other people. You're going to offer your advice and help other people going through something that you maybe already went through. And you may be looking at some people as, what are they going through? What do I have to anticipate going through? So I think it's going to create that wonderful atmosphere for you to accelerate your business and bring it to that next level, because you're going to be in a group of people that will support you through it.
So, I mean, yeah, that's why I've decided I'm going to go all in on LinkedIn talking about our First M Club to help people make their first million. And it's not, me and you, Tom, really sitting there trying to advise them. It's the people who are there, who have gone through this, who are going through this, trying to build their business, build their life, become successful. Those people coming together to have a place where they can talk to each other about what's going right, what's going wrong, what they need help with, and then share perspectives, advice, guidance, struggles, wins based upon that. And then the other meeting that we have each month is networking with huge intention. The intention, we've all been in networking meetings, and it's like, it's all fluff. And it's like, you just kind of want to ask, like, hey, I need a connection to this. I need help with that. And that's what we do here. We cut through all the noise, and it's just like, go in and ask for exactly what you want. And instead of hoping that these people will one day remember you, their job is to say, hey, I have somebody I'm going to connect you today. And that's what we've been able to do as we built this is get people connected immediately to the things that they need. Get people to open up and get the advice and recommendations and the perspective that they need right away. And man, it has just been a beautiful thing to watch. So that's why on LinkedIn, I'm going all in on this. And look, our coaching clients will come from it. Our course clients will come from it. That's where we have met most people. And we're finding that's where all the people who are involved with this are meeting most of their top clients.
Correct. Yeah, it's networking falls flat for a lot of people because a lot of people just network for the sake of networking. What this club is really going to help people do is network with more intention, right? So it's not just going to be that they're going to come here and network with us and then they're going to help somebody immediately, but they're going to really go outside. And now when they go to other networking events, they're going to know how to set a better intention. because we see so many people fall flat on their face when it comes to networking. We have a client right now. She goes to 3, 4 networking meetings a week, but she can't follow up. She doesn't have the time blocked off to follow up with everybody that she meets, and therefore she can't close business. So what's the point of networking at that point? And that's what we're trying to help people to do. That's part of the support, is you have to have an intention. And like we're setting here, our intention to go on LinkedIn is going to be different because of the approach we're taking. Everything that we do, it has to be intentional. And if we do it with intention, we're going to be that much more successful. You know, the restless saboteur, we talk about saboteurs all the time, but the restless saboteur is like that fear of missing out. And if I don't go to this networking event, I'm going to miss an opportunity. Well, what about the 100 cards you have in front of you that you haven't followed up on? You're missing that opportunity. You're missing those opportunities. So you have to learn how to mitigate that restless saboteur. And that's part of what networking with intention will help people to do. And that's part of what our goal is here.
Yeah. And that's, that leads right into the course, which that's what we help people to do, is like utilize their networking way, way better. And that's even why you and I put together an hour free course, like a crash course on how to really, recognize what you're doing, recognize why you're doing these things, recognize who your prospects are, and then go and have conversations that close while you overcome all these limiting beliefs you have, and give it the attention that it needs, and, kind of remove out all those sabotaging behaviors that don't let you do things the appropriate way. We created that free course because it dovetails so beautifully into all the networking we're doing, into our First M Club and those people. And yeah, we have some people in there that have done the paid course and they've come back and now they're in this group with us. And it's really nice to see how everything is melding together to support and help each other. And that's kind of the whole point of the First M Club, is support and help each other. That's what you and I have done since day one, it seems like.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, when we collaborate with people and really work with people and get to know people and try to help them, and we come from it with that service mindset, we are that much more successful. And we have all these tools that we've talked about. We have our course, we have our larger course, we have, the online First M community, we have our own coaching programs that we've utilized. But the key is that all we're trying to do here is bring people together to get the support that they need so they can reach that first million, where everybody is invested in the same goal, right? Groups only work well and clubs only work when there's a common goal, when there's a common shared opportunity that people are trying to capitalize on. And that shared goal, that shared experience helps to build momentum in everybody. When you come into a club or a group and you have different agendas, it's not as motivating. It's demotivating in a lot of ways, because it becomes competition instead of collaboration, right? And the part of the goal of this group too is that you get to know these people well enough that you could collaborate with them in some way, and it could be a mutual benefit to each other, so that in the building of your business to $1 million, you're using the resources that are right in front of you to collaborate and expand and be able to grow to that level. So it's more about, collaboration always beats competition. We all win when we collaborate. And I think that's one of the big things that we see coming out of our online First M group already. And I think we're going to, that's got that club atmosphere already that we're striving for with the in-person. And it's going to be really great to see it play out in person as it is playing out online.
Yeah, man, that's exactly right. And that's kind of like the last 25 years of my life and my career has all been built through like collaboration with other people. And yeah, many of that is stemmed through networking, but it's been the ability to go deeper with somebody. And that's truly what we do each and every day in our club, is allow people to go deeper and go beyond just the nonsense, and understand what matters to people, and understand how can I help somebody else, and be open enough and willing enough to receive help from people that are going through it at the same exact time and have either been there or are trying to go there. it's everything I've built, man, has all been through this collaboration. It's been from, financial planning companies to insurance agencies to networking groups, being on boards of stuff. It's all come through a collaborative approach for networking instead of going to networking and trying to use it as a place to source clients. And that's really the perspective that we try to shift here is that, you're here to help other people. You're here from like a service mindset. And then everybody else around you who's there with you will be coming at it the same way. So that means like if you're one person there for every person, then that means every person is there for that one person. And it becomes this club of like this exclusivity of like, hey, we're in it together. And that's really what makes things work consistently. That's what allows things, that collaboration to be genuine, is the ability to be there for one another.
We've seen it play out so beautifully in the morning meetings that we have been doing over the last year, that when you set the right tone and the right environment, and we remove this superficiality that most networking events bring or have as a culture or a dynamic, and you remove that, I've seen it happen in these rooms where these, 6, 8, 10 people really get into it and are really invested in helping somebody once we've set that tone. And you get deeper. And I think that's what people are really yearning for, yearning for is that deeper connection with people, those deeper, more meaningful relationships, those deeper opportunities to collaborate, because they're all tired of the bullshit. They're tired of the superficiality of it all. And it's frustrating. And especially when you're in a service business versus a transactional business, right? In a product, selling a product versus selling a service. The transaction is just superficial. But when you're in a service business, you're building relationships with those people that you're servicing. And it's all about the relationship. And if you're a service mindset, you have to stay in that deeper connection to people. So superficiality really isn't your game. And Adam, as long as I know you, we have always gone deeper. There has never been a superficial thing about anything that we've done. I can't think of a conversation where we were ever superficial. It was always a deep connection. There was always that deeper want for understanding. And I think that's something we have seen play out beautifully in these morning meetings, and now are very excited to bring to a different place and into this First M Club.
And that leads to like all these communities that are out there, like it just seems like everywhere you turn, there's another community, and they become super, super crowded. And in the beginning, they were with good intention of like, hey, we're going to bring people together and help them. But as they got more and more crowded, it became kind of superficial. You don't really get the opportunity to meet and speak and be with the other people. And it turns into like a lecture sometimes, or it turns into people just spamming one another. Or the worst thing, people just stop showing up. They're involved with it, but they're a participant in it, but they're not involved with it. They just kind of either show up and sit in the back or stop coming at all. And the reason I believe for that is as things grow, right, it gets diluted. But the whole point is to grow, right? And it's the way that we've organized this club, and we're calling it a club on purpose, not a community. The way that we've organized this club is that no matter how big it gets, you'll always be in these smaller rooms. Like you'll always be with 8 or less people. And then you get to meet new people each and every time that you come back. So I think that's been a problem with those communities is they became so good that it diluted the value that they originally had. And it's hard to manage that. It's hard to have the ability to keep delivering that original intentional promise to a larger and larger group of people. So that's why we've reorganized this to be big as an organization, but be small as the execution.
Yep. Well, I think, like you said, you lose a lot of value when those communities get bigger. And for some people, a community is the right place. I'm not saying that a community is the wrong place for a lot of people, but some people just join a community to be part of it just so they can listen and sit back and not necessarily engage. And that's a difference in what we're really trying to do here. We're really trying to build a club of engagement where people are going to help each other. People are going to meet up with each other outside of the meetings. They're going to come together and see how they can collaborate. And we're trying to foster an environment of engagement, which is a little bit different than the traditional community engagement. And I think that's what's going to set us apart from is that unique conversation that you get to have with 8 or less people every single time you come to a first M meeting, whether it's the mastermind or the networking. That's the plan is to give you a small group so you can really connect with people so that you can really dive deep and get to know someone.
So that's a lot of the change that we're going through. So I want to talk about the change that I am doing on LinkedIn. So if you watch my LinkedIn, which you probably are right now, I've changed my name to Adam Thomas Hurd. And if you've known me over the last 2 years or you followed me, it was always Adam Thomas. And then I'd meet people and they'd see on my screen or my business card or anything else or my email, like, why are you Adam Hurd? Well, the thing is that I ran a financial planning firm. I owned it, and I was heavily regulated. And on LinkedIn, I was Adam Hurd, and I could not allow myself, or actually the SEC and FINRA would not allow me to talk about other things unless it went through them. So we always did everything on Instagram, and I wanted to come over to LinkedIn. It was just so highly regulated. And Danny Del Vecchio is like, hey man, why don't you just use your middle name? Just be Adam Thomas. And I'm happy to say that now my transition out of my financial planning firm over to my partner, Russell. Thank you, Russell. My transition out of that has been completed, and now I can use my full name. So I thought, what a better time to change the name as when I'm going to change the message and change the banner and change my about section and really go all in on this First M Club, which is kind of what the roots of everything I've ever done. It's interesting that it's not different. It's the same thing done in a different way. This is what we've always done. We've helped bring people together to have real conversations that lead to real actions, that lead to real results. And that's everything we've ever done in both of our careers throughout our entire lives. And this is just a different way to do the same exact thing. So I'm still the same guy. I'm still Adam Thomas. Now you just know my last name, Adam Thomas Hurd. So,
well, listen, change is a good thing. People will recognize you. It's funny. We have we go through a lot of this when we're identifying ourselves. And yes, you're creating a new identity, but you're not creating a new identity. Like you said, it's everything that you are. And I'm still Tom Marino, so just real easy. It's Tom Marino. I didn't have to worry about SEC and all those regulations. I wasn't in that space. But it'll be cool to see people's reaction to your name change, if there is a reaction. People be like, who are you now? What happened there? Did you change your family name? I'm curious.
I got married, Tom. I got married.
Yeah, you got married.
To myself.
Yeah, you married yourself from your finance career. That's what you did.
Well, think about it. Well, we laugh, but think about it. This is like a marriage, right? It's like a marriage of all the things that you and I have ever done, and we're finally like committing to it and bringing it together and having a ceremony of like, hey, okay, we're going to merge all these things. Mm-hmm. Because, dude, I mean, you and I met at networking.
Yes.
You know?
And that's the thing. Like, people struggle so much for lead generation and figuring out how to get leads coming in, and they spend thousands of dollars on marketing. They spend thousands of dollars on different things. But just in the last week, we have given ourselves 10 new leads by being part of 2 events, hosting one and being a guest at one, but we really started it. So it's okay. But 10 leads are right in front of us from that. And that is better than most leads coming in from social media, coming in from anywhere else. And, a referral is always a great lead because that's 50% closed. But when you find the mechanism that's going to work for you, and we have always known it's been networking. We always say when we come out of networking meetings, when we meet with people one-on-one, we go to dinners with some of our clients, those are the impactful moments that we recognize, holy cow, we got to just lean into this. And that's why I'm so excited to really make First M the place that we can still exercise our purpose.
You know what though? Here's the interesting. You bring up a really good point because yes, those events we've gotten 10 leads, but here's the difference: is anything else, it's lead generation. This is not. Leads just showed up because of our initial intention. And that was the big difference is we weren't out there looking for leads, where most of the other things you're doing, you're looking for leads or you're paying for leads or you're doing work to get leads. That was the difference. The two events we did, we were there to meet people, to serve people, and then leads came to us. So it's about the difference is, are you attracting it or are you chasing it, right? And typically when you chase something, it runs away from you. But when you attract something, it gravitates, attaches to you and wants more. And that was the major difference of why we decided to pivot this, is because for quite some time we chased the right opportunities. And yeah, we found some here and there. But when we just came into it with an intention of service and helping and being there for people and just being our authentic selves, we became an attractant to the right leads. And that's the big difference. And that's why the people who have been in our pilot program, a part of the First M Club, they've started to attract the right things. They've been helping each other. I mean, the stories that have happened just over the first, couple of meetings that we've had, the connections that are being made, the actions that are being taken, people hiring people meeting the right new clients. Some of the big things is like people changing the way they operate their businesses, and like one little piece of advice completely switched over everything that they're doing in their business for the better. And it's about the attraction instead of the chasing.
Correct. I said it last week or the week before on a podcast. I will not seek, I will be sought. Right. And that is part of our confidence level and how we look at things. And this is what we're doing. We are putting ourselves in a position to be sought. And that's what all of us have to do. And I think this is a great opportunity for a lot of business owners and entrepreneurs to put themselves in a place to attract to them the people that they need in their lives, in their business, to make their business reach $1 million. Or even if it's not for that, if it's just to build a relationship with someone that could be a confidant or someone that can help them through a tough situation, then that's the purpose of it all. And we still are living our purpose and exercising it a little differently, but not really. It's the same that, it's not a change in how we live our lives. We didn't change what our purpose is. We're just using a different way to exercise it so that the right people can be attracted to us. And those that really need our help or someone's help in our club, they can find it and it's there for them. And that's the ultimate goal.
I think that is the ultimate goal, right? It's to have that ability. But one of the biggest values of this club is that people now have a space. They have the ability to be there for one another, but have a space where you can actually talk things through. Right? You have the ability to share this experience and not feel like I have to go here to do work. I'm here to have the ability to open up and like give space for yourself, because so many people that are in self-employment, business ownership, sales, like outside world doesn't really understand what you're going through. And there's no place to like set it down and have a discussion about it, because your spouse is like, what do you mean with all this stuff? Or your friends just don't get it because they're, punching a 9 to 5 clock. And this gives that ability for people to really go in and have a place where they feel seen, where they feel connected, where they feel understood. And then they could literally look at each other and be like, oh, so I'm not crazy. This is normal. And that is one of the biggest benefits I see from people coming together here.
Man, we got a lot of stuff that people are going to really have a great opportunity to take advantage of. And, it's I don't want to create FOMO for anybody, but this is something that you don't want to miss out on. Because if you're feeling lonely, if you're someone who's lonely, if you're someone who's struggling, if you're someone who's like, I don't know what direction to go, you got to find a place that you fit in. It's kind of like Cheers, where everybody knows your name, right? That's the environment we want to create and place for people to go. That was so awesome about that place was, people knew who you were and could help you. And that's what this is for people. And this is what we want it to become. So you can't be, it's a place that you're going to get to be vulnerable too. Like Adam just said, like you're going to be able to open up and share an experience and get it off your chest. And there are going to be 7 other people in that group that understand what exactly you're going through and what it means. It's not going to be like you're spewing it out and it's just going to bounce right back off the wall back to you. And there's going to be no resolution. You're going to have advice and you're going to get insight that maybe you never thought of. And that's what this is about, is when you bring so many different people together who are working on a similar thing, but come at it from so many different perspectives, the insights and the opportunities are just exponential. And that's what we want to provide. Like if you meet 7 people this week and you meet 7 other people next week and, and you go through that, each month, the goal is you're going to meet hopefully 14 different people that, you can really build a connection with, decide who is the right fit for you to build a connection with. And we're not saying that everybody's going to be right for everybody, but we're trying to set it up where the starting point is good for as many people as possible. And that's what I really am, that's what I'm really looking forward to, is just to see how the different people interact in the group dynamics that come out of it and see what happens there.
I watch some of the people who are involved and people we have helped before connect, and the collaboration is incredible. Like, we have people now that are working together consistently and making more money and making their lives easier because they connected through some way that you and I have brought them together. And we have people that have had the ability to make their businesses run so much smoother because they met somebody else that was like, holy cow, I know exactly what the problem is. And it's not always about getting the client. It's a lot of times about finding ways that you can just help one another. And yeah, many times that turns into revenue generation, or many times that turns into getting your time back. But what we've found is when people take the walls down and they're like, okay, we're coming at this from the same place. Let's see what we all think. It allows for a different level of conversation to take place because the wall is down. You don't have to break the ice. You don't have to kind of, I don't know what the right word is, but you don't have to vet them out, or there's a lack of words there. But you have this trust that okay, we're here for the same purpose, and then let me just listen to you. And there's a giant difference between all this noise that happens and you being able to actually listen to somebody and absorb it and be like, holy shit, I know exactly what you're talking about. Here's what I went through. And man, to connect someone to the right client or to give them the right resource has been invaluable for so many people in our circle. And it's funny because many of our coaching clients have come into this club because we've identified hey, you also need to speak to them, or you need to meet this person. And that's what we're seeing, is this beautiful expansion of go-getters that are really there for each other. And man, it is hard. The older you get, I don't know how old you are, but the older you get, the harder it is to allow people into your circle. So it just becomes smaller and smaller. And this is a wonderful way to find new people that you can trust to open up that door and say, come on in.
Mm-hmm. We do this a lot with introducing our clients to other clients. And when we introduce other people to each other, we've already vetted out the fit and what it should be and how it should work. And we have this idea that it would be a good thing for them to meet. We do this in all of our businesses. We've done this our entire lives, where if I know a guy, I'm going to send you that guy. And one of our clients said to me, you have this you have this network of resources, and you have this way of connecting the right people. And it's so true. We do that. So when you come into this First STEM community, the club, sorry, I used the word, my bad, slap my face there. When you come into the First M club, you are coming into a place where you should know that these people are here for a reason, and they are probably the right people that you need to meet. And you have to give it an opportunity and a chance. Don't be so guarded, because a lot of people tend to be guarded when they come into new clubs and new groups of people. But the thing is that we're trying to set up an environment where we're not just letting anyone in. It's a club for people that we are building and we know, that we trust, that we've met, that we've experienced, etc. And I think that's a really important point that we need to make, is that it's just not going to be a group of nobodies. These people are going to be people who have been vetted so that you can have the best experience. And we won't invite you into it if we don't think it's a good fit for you. And I think that's important for people to understand. Like, there's several people we have not invited yet to this because we don't feel that they're ready for it. And we want to make sure that we put as many people together that are all at a similar place or ready for it, so that they're not wasting anybody's time. So I think that's important to emphasize.
We're talking about expanding and allowing for trust. We had someone come to our last meeting that you and I have known for 6 years. Her name's Sarah. And she pulled us aside afterwards and was like, oh my gosh. She's like, I don't understand how you guys know so much about so many things and can give relevant advice and recommendations in the moment. She was like, I'm curious how many books you read and how much education do you have? And she's known us for 6 years. And the funny thing is, she knew us one way and then she got to experience a different way. But it wasn't that we learned any more since the last time we spoke to her. It's that we were in an environment that was conducive for that type of a conversation to have. And we weren't the only ones that were doing that advice. Everybody else was giving very relevant information to the person that was asking, this is what I need help with. She just saw it because it was open, right? And that's the big thing, is when it's open to people saying, hey, here's what I think, or here's what I know, instead of like, I'm going to follow a script and give you a thing and do this stuff. It changes how people receive it. It changes how they can actually implement it when they leave. And that's a true differentiator, is when you open up the room to have the right type of conversation, the right type of conversation usually happens then. And that's what we're trying to do, is bring a place that allows for depth to happen.
Mm-hmm. That's it, man. That hits the nail on the head. And I think you're 100% right. It's the tone that we set. It's the environment. It's the culture. And the culture will shift as you get different people. There'll be, people will adapt to the culture, but they'll also add their spin on it, and it will enhance the culture of the environment. And that happens with all clubs. The clubs are as good as the members that are part of that club, right? And you have to adapt to some change in culture if you have a unique set of people that are coming together and sharing parts of themselves, because we want people to be their authentic self in this. This is not a place to be anybody but yourself, to be accepted for who you are, to not worry about, what people are going to judge and what they're going to say, because frankly, who gives a shit? If you're all there trying to collaborate and help each other, that's when judgment goes out the window. When you're trying to compete with people and you try to beat people, that's when the judgment comes in, and that's when you can't be your authentic self, and that's other people will stop that from happening. So we're going to promote an environment where it's be your true self. Tell us your story. Tell us what's really going on so that we can be brutally honest with you, because I don't think there's any reason to sugarcoat anything. And that's one of the things that Adam and I have not done in any of these morning meetings. We have not sugarcoated it for anyone. When someone needed to hear a truth and a reality and get a reality check, it was very important to say what we needed to say at that time so that that person can get the help and the support that they really need. A lot of times people come into networking groups and everybody is boasting of how great their business is, and, oh yeah, things are going great. Yeah, I've been so busy. Business is great. No, let's get down to the core. No business is great. Everybody has struggles. Everybody experiences different business challenges. And when you remove that superficiality we're talking about and you allow for authenticity because of the deepness of the conversation, that's what we're trying to establish here. That's what we want people to experience, so that there is no facade. It's who you are, and this is who you're going to let people know who you are, and this is how we're going to all be able to collaborate and work together. Now, that doesn't mean that some people are not going to click. It's going to happen. We're all human beings, but we have to bring our best and authentic self to the environment for it to really, truly be successful. Because when we're our most authentic self, the money flows in that direction because then we're typically fulfilling our purpose. And when we fulfill our purpose, the money tends to flow to support that. And that's what we have to embrace. And that's one of the things that will help every single person get to their first million. If you don't think it's possible for you to make $1 million in revenue, then that's an obstacle and a limiting belief we're going to have to overcome. But it's probably because you're not being your true authentic self. And that's part of what people in the room will help you to take off literally of your exterior and put on this true authentic self so that you can get to your next level and make that $1 million that you should make and that you are worthy of making and that everyone deserves to make.
Love it, pal. So, all right, here's how I'm going to wrap this up. Most people, when they're launching something, say, I'm so excited about this. And you know how that gets under my skin, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I won't say it. I'm not excited.
But here's the reason. Here's the reason it gets under my skin when people are launching something and say, I'm so excited, guys. It's because when people are excited, that's usually when it's over. It's like they think they can sit back and relax and enjoy the show. I'm not excited about doing this because this is a new responsibility that Tom and I are putting on our shoulders to make sure that everybody gets the best possible experience. So I'm scared shitless. I have a new responsibility to make sure that I deliver. And I have done this time and time again because it's meaningful. My son has struggled with some big things that he's had to do and he was nervous. And I said, well, when you're nervous, that means it matters. And this thing really matters to me. It doesn't matter that me and Tom will build a huge group. It doesn't matter that it can turn into an amazing business. What matters is that we make an impact for the people that put their trust in me. So I'm not excited. I'm really, really nervous. But that will only be to the benefit of the people who come in this group.